I couldn't be more excited to introduce you all to Marie. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Kay. The feeling is very mutual. It feels like a warm hug from the internet when we talk.
Yes, internet warm hugs from Vancouver area to the LA area. So let's get started with, I would imagine that most of the people on today's call know you through your YouTube channel, or have kind of like through your YouTube channel, through your Twitter presence, through your course. And we'll talk about this YouTube channel. But I actually don't know the answer to this. So I'd love for you to, tell us when you started, when you posted your first YouTube video, and how were you spending your time before that?
First YouTube video of any substance was maybe
Yes.
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And there might have been a couple before that were like, here's my cat playing with a plant or something, just tinkering on the internet years before that. So there were a couple there that they weren't for marketing purposes. They were just, experimenting with the internet. But I'd say about 3 years ago was the first sort of, I think it was really the 100-day challenge that I did. And that was me trying to get over my fear of being on video. So if anybody here is, terrified at the idea of being on YouTube, like that was definitely not in the roadmap, was not in the plan. I very much preferred being like quiet, introverted, like, can we just do everything by email and not have to communicate on video? And I realized that was really, really going to hold me back in my business. So it was very much a conscious skill that I was like, this is something I'm going to need to learn how to do. And I had respect for teachers too, and people being able to communicate their value and their ideas really succinctly and clearly. So I always envied people that just seemed really confident and comfortable on camera. And I was like, I want that. How do I do that? And so before that, I was just quietly on Twitter. That was one of my more active channels, right? Because I can write, not have to be on video. That was pretty safe. And a lot of the work that I did was client work behind the scenes, working with online course creators. So I was working behind the scenes of other people who were out there teaching, putting their work out there. They had group programs, they had online courses and products. Nathan Barry was one of the people that I looked up to many, many years ago. Like I bought his first design UX kits and things like that. And I was like, wow, I was just so in awe of what he was doing. So I was, very quiet behind the scenes for a long, long time before I had the courage to even think about shipping a video on YouTube.
Got it. And were you structured as like a coach or an independent consultant? Was there a company behind that? How are you finding clients?
I've been solo for almost 12 years now. Okay. My only real work experience was working for 4 years in a design studio before I went off on my own. And, I've shared with Kay before, like being recently diagnosed with ADHD. I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense why I've often considered myself kind of unemployable. Like getting to work on time is an impossible task. Like nothing happens before 9 o'clock in the morning. The idea of getting to an office by 9 o'clock was a struggle. So there's things like that I've learned about myself that, you might consider sort of maybe difficult to work with or that sort of thing. And so I have an independent streak, a very autonomous streak. I'm like, I want to do what I want to do. And it's really hard to motivate myself to do any activities that I'm not really, really, really motivated to do. So that's really hard to do if you work for somebody else. So it's been a long time of working on my own. And then in 2014, my husband and I teamed up. But him and I, we are both extremely autonomous, extremely high on leader autonomous scale. And so even when we were a team together, we did our own things. Like he had his own clients, I had my own clients. So we were still pretty much almost like two businesses under one brand umbrella.
Yeah. Got it. And by the way, I love the husband and wife banter that you have on Twitter, where like Ben will say like, I just walked in, in my underwear, and Marie's, doing a YouTube live stream for 20,000 people. Oops.
No big deal.
No big deal. So amazing. So I mean, your YouTube channel, and again, this conversation is not about YouTube. YouTube is one of the one-to-many channels where you can amplify your work, right? And YouTube actually presents this like wonderful dichotomy. It was like, it can be a $10 work of like picking thumbnails, or $10K work of like, what's the strategy of my channel? How will people find me? Is there a brand identity? And everything editing, geez, I mean, that's why I'm not on YouTube. I hate editing. So, but you started this 100-day challenge, and today you're an iconic YouTuber that people look up to for advice on all things YouTube. Tell us a bit about that process of like being scared to be in front of the camera to now having thousands, you probably have hundreds of thousands of hours viewed on your channel through most of your like tutorials.
Yeah, it's very strange. I did the 100-day challenge, which was obviously incredibly challenging. It's like, no matter how you feel, I don't feel like being on video today, too bad. I committed to the challenge and I really wanted to do it. So, I mean, you can see my first very, very cringy videos, and I keep them up there despite the cringe, because I do think it's really important for people to see where creators start. It's so easy to see the shiny, like, wow, look at where Nathan Barry is. But like, let's look at his first couple blog posts. Let's look at the first awkward videos or first awkward interviews. I mean, even you and I were laughing at like even a year or two ago of looking at an interview. We're like, oh, our backgrounds and the camera quality. And you can't get better at that stuff until you put in the hours. So it took a while to get comfortable and to, slowly up level your equipment. Even just be aware of your own quirks and the way that you speak and how you carry your energy and things like, when you record a video, you're supposed to kind of go 10% a little on your energy, right? So some of the early videos are just like really quiet and really mousy, but you don't know that until you keep shipping. And so it's been a process to figure that out. And I think I realized with sharing, how to use Notion and things like that, like obviously video is just going to be the easiest way to do that with people and the most scalable way of doing that with people. And so I just made a really simple first video that was like, here's how I'm doing my meal planning Notion. And the views on that were so fast. I was like, whoa, okay, there's something here that with very little effort, people were finding this video. So I committed. I'm like, I'm going to do a video every week for the next 12 weeks. And again, it got the attention of Notion, right? I did one small webinar on Notion. It took me 3 years to get the courage to do a webinar.
Wow.
3 years. It's like I bought the course on how to do it, and it took me so long to get the courage to do it. And when I did, it changed my life. Seriously, just doing that one webinar caught the attention of Notion, and then allowed me to do their office hours for them for a year. So again, like just getting associated with something that people get, they get to know you for. I'd been a generalist for years and years and years before. So suddenly people were like, oh, she's the one that talks about Notion. So I had to overcome my fear of video very, very quickly. And I just had to ship, or else I would overthink it and I would just never do it. So it was definitely a process. And I do think that's important to share, because I think a lot of people are afraid to be on video and to put their stuff out there, but it is such highly leveraged work. And I would say, for the first year of my course, 70 to 75% of course sales came directly from YouTube, which is incredible. Yeah. Like you just can't argue with, all right, guess I'm learning how to be better on video. It's my new life now.
That's incredible. And I would say the same. Yeah. I think you're being modest, because you're attributing a lot of your discovery to the fact that Notion made you their office hours person. But even had they never given you that official designation, the YouTube algorithm would have still been churning. You had the content, and we're also friends. Myself, you, August Bradley, like a bunch of Notion ambassadors are on this call. Being early for me, I was doing that with Loom videos. I actually met the founder of Loom at a wedding last weekend, and I said, "Thank you, like you changed the course of my career with your app, Loom." And for those of you who don't know Loom, it's a simple app. You just screen record, but it saves it to the cloud, gives you a link, gives a thumbnail, gives a call to action. It just, boom, it's just like a beautiful product. And the way Notion, Marie had discovered YouTube and Notion, I had discovered Twitter plus Loom. And I was doing the same thing on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh, I guess this guy Kay knows these things, this thing about Notion." And so again, it was like there's just this timing, there's this showing up. They're so ugly, these early videos. Even now, if you search "learn Notion," there's we just switched our WordPress theme, so it might look really bad. But one of the top 3 results will be one of our Rad Reads pages. and they're all these Loom videos. I still haven't upgraded them to YouTube, and they're me in my mud room. Like the camera is like the lighting's horrible. Like camera's like pointing at like my neck. There's a lot of stuttering and ums and all of that, but that page gets 10,000 visitors a month. So again, start before you're ready. That's a recurring theme that we've heard from you, from Nathan, from Dickie Bush. And so let's talk about, so what would you say? I'm seeing the comments where people are like, I'm scared to tweet into the void. Who will care about what I have to say? I don't want to be judged for X, for Y, for Z. I'm not an expert. I barely know the thing myself. And people can't start. How do you, besides sharing your story, how do you get people, or can tell them that, give them permission to start?
I think to the comment about, I'm not expert enough, I think everybody can speak to their current experience, right? We can all share how we're moving through something, the challenges that we're facing. Like, I'm sure that me sharing my video challenges has impacted someone else, being like, thank you for sharing that. That was so helpful. It gave me that kick that I need. I hear that all the time. So we know that when other people share what they're up against, what they're struggling with, or just insights that they're making. All of us read books, we're all taking courses, we're here with Kay, we're learning things from Kay. Like, what would it take for you to just tweet about some of the insights that you gained from Nathan's session yesterday, right? Like the same way that you're doing it in a chat, but the chat is going to get lost, it disappears once this is done. So how do we keep that value moving forward? And I mean, I could go on a tangent about this, but the same way there's so many people teaching Notion, right? It's like the way I teach it resonates with a certain type of person. The way August teaches it, the way you teach it. There's room for different resonance. There's room for different delivery styles, for different vibes, right? People give off different vibes. And so you can hear the same message 10 different times, but the way that one person, you're like, oh man, they get me. Like so we need you to get your way of thinking out there. I say this, there's like literally nobody else on the planet that has your weird mix of family background, your culture, where you live, your influences, the books you've read, the mentors, the coaches you've hired. Nobody's got that mix. Like 0 people. So it doesn't matter if like you think everybody else has the same idea, how it gets remixed in your brain and how you interpret it. There's just not another human like you. And so we need you to share how you see the world, because it is unique. I think I said this in my newsletter, and I know this is not an original thought. Like there's no original messages, only messengers, right? So you just have to share your perspective on the world. You got to own it.
Amazing. That reminds me of a quote from Bill Gates, where an 18-year-old asked him, how would I ask you or someone like you to be my mentor? You know everything. I know nothing, relative. And Bill Gates said to this young individual, you have something that I will never have, is your own unique perspective. And actually, it's a funny thing, when someone asks me, like when an 18-year-old or asks me for coffee or networking, like immediately I'm like, I'm so fascinated by their perspective. I'm like, where do you get your news? I'm so genuinely curious where 18-year-old, Western Americans get their news sources. I'll ask them things like, when you wake up, what are the first 3 apps that you open, right? No one, I can read like that's such unique insights to me. So just remember that if you're inverted, there's always someone that is curious and wants to learn from your perspective. So,
and I'd argue that curiosity is one of those $10,000 like qualities or skills. Being really curious and just watching, listening, like notice what people are saying and doing. You're gonna glean so many interesting insights.
So we were talking about your curiosity, voracious learning, coaching. These are all themes that have come up in these 19 minutes we've been speaking. But you had a tweet the other, a couple months ago that said something along the lines of, I've invested in 2020, I invested $30,000 in coaching and online courses. And so I want to unpack that, because we actually did a poll the other day of like, what's your shiny new toy? And the resounding shiny new toy was online courses. But I am just blown away because, just when we were talking, you said, well, I hired a learning and development coach to improve my curriculum. And, I took this I bought Nathan Barry's UX kit. I bought this person's course. You're constantly buying courses and teaching courses. And so I'd love for you to share with us your experience, taking courses and getting coached, and specifically through the lens of like, how do you know that it's not just like that next new thing, right? Because I think there's that tension where like, oh, if I buy this course, it will solve this like deep problem of mine that I have. But you're proof that you can invest in yourself. And I think you even said it, money that you didn't have as an entrepreneur. Like you are reinvesting your business profits into online courses.
Yeah.
So help us victims of shiny new toys. It's like kind of our $100 work of like, we like feel like we're moving the needle, but we're not really moving the needle. How do you do that differently?
Yeah. Oh, this is such a can of worms. I think I've always invested in online learning since I went off on my own, right? And I think partly, I'll be super honest about it, and I think this is partly ADHD, was like, I never quite felt like I got it. Like I always felt like a slow learner. So even when I got to university, I sort of felt like a fish out of water. Like, how does everybody know who all these artists are? Like, I just sort of felt like I was never quite at the level of my peers. And while other people are partying, I'm like trying to learn and like almost catch up and kind of study weekends and evenings, right? Because I hated that feeling of, I feel stupid. Like I feel like I can't keep up with conversation. I mean, that combined with my curiosity, I'm like, how do people know these things? Like, I didn't really grow up with a highly educated family. So I'm like, what the heck is this whole world? And I wanted to know, like, what am I missing out on? How do people know how to market this stuff? Like, what is happening here? And so when I buy a course, I implement it right away. Like I am not just taking courses just to take courses. Like, yes, there's always something to learn when you take a course, but it's about the implementation, like you said. So I ask myself, when I am buying this course, what am I trying to get out of it? What's the skill that I feel is missing? What's the thing that I want to focus on? And so I've definitely gotten myself into trouble over the years. I'm like, just buying I'm like, oh my God, buying all the courses, just getting so excited. And that gets very expensive, especially when you don't have the money and you're like, oh, just put that on my business credit card and I'll get more clients and it'll be fine. And you're on this treadmill, right? Like it's not a good thing. I did this in the beginning of my business for sure. And partners would be like, we don't have the budget for this. I'm like, but I don't have that skill yet. So it definitely took a while to like, okay, calm yourself. You can't do all the courses all the time. So how do we begin to prioritize which courses are the most important? Because there's always more to learn. There's always more to learn. So what I've tried to do over the last couple of years is ask myself, what is the skill gap that I want to fill? Or what is the like strength I want to hone? And again, what are those like $10,000 activities or hours or really high leverage stuff? And for me right now, for example, that's teaching and facilitation. I believe teaching on the internet is a $10,000 an hour activity. And I want to hone my facilitation skills. I want to get better at that. I want to really understand what makes a dynamic and interesting and wonderful presenter. How do we communicate ideas in a way that really help other people? So yeah, I'm working with I'm taking courses on how do you improve your Zoom facilitation? How do you improve your presentation skills? Working with a curriculum designer, but limiting yourself to every quarter. I try to theme my quarters and theme my months. So if a new shiny course comes in, I'm asking myself, does this align with the thing that I said was a top priority for this quarter? If not, I can put it on the back burner. And then when I'm doing my next 90-day plan, I can be like, what are all the wonderful shiny courses that I've saved to my library that I want to take? And which ones are going to fit in with that. So it's like finding a balance between the ones that are the high leverage activities and also things like I bought a houseplant course, right? It's like, that's a fun one. It's a lower end product. And I'm really specific in how I budget my money in terms of money that's in gets put into these buckets of categories and 10% goes toward education. So and that's just my personal budget. That doesn't include business budget too. So for me, education is a huge, like it's a hobby. It's something I love so much. I love learning from other people. I love the meta learning that happens. If I take Kay's course, I want to see how he composes himself. I want to see his thinking. I love the thinking behind the thing. I love all of it. And I think that's why also I worked with online course creators. I love the skill of teaching. I love how do we help people activate and move forward and become the best of who they are. Teachers have that, like, it's a privilege. And I'm just so fascinated with that skill set and what it takes, the way one teacher can totally change your life by saying something in a different way. I'm like, oh, what a magical freaking skill. How do I tap into that? So it has cost a lot of money. That's where I reinvest most of my business assets. But to me, I've seen the fruits of those results. And so I keep reinvesting.
Oh, I love that. And one of the things that I hear when you tell that story is that, I think for those of you who are new to the framework, and you, Marie, might not even be thinking about this framework every day, but the same activity can fall in different quadrants based on how you approach it, right? So you could smash that buy button on an online course, watch one video, get like a burst of dopamine and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a UX designer, mothball it. That's $10. You could sit through it and be diligent and do all the modules. That's $1,000, right? Like you are developing a new skill, but that might not be the right skill. So then the question that you ask, a lot of 10K work is asking getting to the heart of the question, right? And I really, because some people are so preoccupied with like the leverage and the money and all that. No, it's getting to the heart of the issue. Why do I want this? What, you said it yourself, what skill gap am I trying to bridge? That is a 10K question. And there's a whole set of skills just to identify that that's the right question to ask, and then remind yourself to keep asking that question, right? To check in. And so that example just like really shows that, like working out is it could be $10 to 10K, right? There's different ways to think about that. I always say, when it comes to fitness and health, like the thing that it took me 15 years to realize was the 10K activity was getting 9 hours of sleep. My life changed when I went from 6.5 hours to 9 hours of sleep. You can't, nothing else mattered. Nothing else matters. So if I had asked that question 10 years earlier, like, again, I don't live with any regrets. I am the collection of my experience, my lived experiences. But wow, right? Like that, instead of like, buying nice Lululemon gear, I could have really like moved the needle. So, okay, I want to talk about your business. So you have this growing audience, you have this consulting business, which is one-to-one, right? In our matrix, $1,000 work, like time for money. And you make this switch into what Nathan called productized services. And tell us about how you made that transition, how long it took, and what was difficult.
Yeah, if I think about starting my business about 12 years ago, it was maybe back in 2015 that I did my first, leveraged like coaching, teaching type product. And that was sort of my first foray. So it was digital strategy school, and it was like a mentorship program for designers, and it had curriculum and some one-on-ones and then some group time. So that was my very first experiment into that. That it did so well. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is, I'm onto something here. Like, this is way more leverage than the client work, right? And I was like, ooh, okay, now how do I balance the client work that is very, it's very immediate, right? It's like trading dollars for, exactly kind of how much is coming in. But then with these group programs and stuff, you don't know how often do I have to launch this? You don't really know when you first launch it, how much of your time and energy and effort it's going to take. But I kind of got my first taste of it, and I was like, ooh, leverage. Okay, I see what people are talking about now, and so I experimented with it over the coming years.
No one knew what Zoom was in 2015.
Yeah, I was doing like Crowdcast and Zoom, and I was experimenting with that stuff. But I was shy. Like I was like shaking as I was doing it. Like, it was not an easy thing to do. And partly I look back and I was like, oh, how did I have the audacity to do that? It was crazy looking back. And the first thing I did right the first week after launch was freaked the heck out, and like my skin was breaking out. I was just a complete nervous wreck, and I had to deliver to this group of people, and I was totally terrified. So I hired a imposter complex coach, right? I hired Tanya Geyser. I think I might have mentioned her before. And working with her, again, that was like life-changing work, reinvesting in a coach who could see my skill set, call me out on playing small, and just give me some different perspectives for how I might want to think about my work and the value that I'm creating for other people. So I know that about myself, like self-development and self-awareness, like it's a big part. I think it's another skill set to develop as a leader, like knowing when you need support, knowing when those gaps are happening. And so Tanya Geyser was like magical human, was so wonderful to help me like, okay, yes, I'm a leader. Like it felt so pretentious to even be like, I'm a leader. I'd like thought that was a dirty word. Like, how could I possibly call myself that? So really the confidence, like it has taken a long time to like be okay and get comfortable in groups of people. So it's not, I just bring it up because it's not something that you either have or you don't. Like it's a skill you can learn like any other. And I really wanted it. Like I wanted to have that kind of impact. Again, the way other coaches and courses have impacted me. I'm like, I would love to do that for other people. And I know I can get there. It just feels really, really far away. So I've dabbled over the years and I've hired coaches. When my systems felt like the thing that were holding me back, I hired a systems coach. Right. So I've always invested in people that have really specialized skill sets to kind of help me close some of those gaps. I still consider myself a bit of a generalist, and I don't want to get good at all of those different things, but I want to support the parts that are really preventing me from moving forward. So getting my systems in place and getting organized and understanding, again, leverage and just which tasks are just wasting time and where should my energy best be spent. That stuff takes time. It takes a lot of time to figure out. So finally, in 2019 was when I really hit traction with Notion. So somebody said, if you make a course on this, take my money. I was like, okay. The webinar had gotten tons of people. It was like the most people that had ever signed up for anything without any advertising. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is this is terrifying, because the numbers were way bigger than anything I had done before. But again, the results of that were like, oh wow, people are hungry for this. They're watching, they're interested, and I'm so freaking passionate about this tool because it changed my life the same way you talked about the way Loom changed your life. It was the only tool that worked the way that my brain worked and that could give me that sense of calm. And so I think it was infectious. People were picking up like, wow, this girl is really into this tool. And you can't buy that enthusiasm, right? You can't buy someone being like, this tool changed my life. And so when you are recording videos about Loom or getting excited about it, like Loom can't even hire someone to get that stoked about it and do that marketing. So yeah, when I launched the course, I did it as I don't think it was pay what you want. I've done that before in the past, by the way. It's like a really great, if you're really freaked out about like knowing what to charge, do a pay what you want and just do a really rough and ready beta experiment, see what people are willing to value it at. But the first launch of the course was, I think, $300 over 6 weeks, which just kept going. I was like, well, this 6 weeks is not finished. We're just going to keep going with this. And so it was very rough and ready. We're like co-creating it with people as I went along, which is my comfort zone. Definitely not doing like all of the polished scripted videos. And it's like, I want to see people's faces. I want to know, like, is this landing? And then I can reevaluate. So yeah, the course started in 2019 and it's been going ever since. And within a couple months, I knew I needed to hire some more support. I was like, oh my gosh, customer support emails or questions about that. And so that was kind of the first, okay, I can't do this on my own anymore. As soon as you start doing really leveraged activities, like, well, I can't be the one answering all these emails. I can't be like, it opens up a whole can of worms, right?
Ooh, all right. So that we're at the juicy part of the conversation, which is, when you're a solo entrepreneur, solopreneur, but anyone can think of this as like when you're the domain expert, right? So even on your team, like you're the person that everyone comes to for SEO or for analysis about this specific industry, right? It's so easy to just continue to be the domain expert because you can always get to the answer quicker and better. but there's no leverage. Like you go on vacation, Notion mastery takes a hiatus, or maybe said invertedly, you don't go on vacation because Notion mastery cannot take a hiatus, right? And so you get to this point, and this is where you hit this like infamous, anyone who, one of the pillars of 10K work is recruiting, training, retaining, and engaging other human beings. And here's where I really want to like pull off the trend, like drop all the numbers. It's like, and you see it with Nathan and you see it with Marie. It's like, I always use this phrase, you never want to compete with someone who genuinely cares, right? Like if you care about your people, that's the ultimate 10K work. Like if you care about them as humans, and you show up for them and you're always present with them, and you love them. I don't say like in a sense of romantic love, but you love them. That is a flavor of 10K work. So go back, you hit this J curve, right? Everyone's seen it, where you hire a junior analyst, you're the domain expert, and it takes everything. It takes 10 times longer and is 10% as good as if you did it. And so you hit this trough, and the trough can be long. And during that trough, the impulse is to lean on the thing, on your skill, the 10, the 1K work. So tell us about that trough, how long it lasted. Are you still in it? How do you restrain yourself?
I can, only speak to my own experience. And it took me a long time to understand how to delegate and let go, for sure. Like I'd been solo for so long, right? Like a decade of just like doing things my own way and just believing like there's no way for me to translate what's in my head to somebody else, right? Like how can I, if only I could clone myself. How many people have thought that, right? You think you need someone that's exactly like yourself, which is not true.
Yeah.
And so funny in a way is that a lot of the work I used to do was operations related work. So I'd be helping other people set up all their systems and connect all the dots and set up automations and like strategy, how are they going to launch their course? It was like literally every other piece about online courses except the learning design. It was like customer experience, user experience, you name it. And I thought, like, how am I going to find another person like me? Well, Georgia, who is now my director of operations, I thought there's no way I need an operations person. I do operations work for companies. Like this is what I do. And yet Marie has ADHD and does not notice the details. And I could not believe the difference it made when I had Georgia, who is like a logical, linear thinker. She approaches things more slowly than me, like thoughtfully, and notices all of the details. So like, guess what? It didn't take long before she's doing stuff faster than I am. And I was like, damn, well, that's a reality check. And like, let's be honest about that. Let's be honest. I'm the big picture person. I can see all the patterns and connections. My brain is going 1,000 miles a minute and it never stops, ever, ever, not even when I'm gardening. But Georgia is like, it's slower, it's more methodical, but it's like so precise. And so it was a little bit of a gap in me, like understanding how to just let go and give her that. And it was almost like once I gave her all of the email access and all the 1Passwords and like let go, she's just doing stuff way faster than me. I was like, okay, well, it puts things in perspective. And so you start asking yourself, well, what are those really, really high leverage activities that Georgia can't do or doesn't even want to do or doesn't make sense for her to be doing? So like, me showing up on video and like doing really well crafted YouTube videos is obviously going to be one of the highest leverage things that I can do. So like stop answering emails and setting up all these things behind the scenes. Let Georgia do that because she loves it and she's good at it and she's better at it. So yeah, it took a bit of time, but the time was not in having to train her. It was more in me letting go of what I thought those activities needed to be. So I think with anybody hiring, especially your first hire, and like, I'm sure, Kay, you can speak to this too. There is that awkwardness of like, who is my best hire? Like, should I be hiring for those skill gaps, or should I be hiring to like recreate the things that I do really well? Like we kind of think, again, we need that clone. So I think that takes a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
For me, realizing now, that I needed an operations person. I did not think I needed an operations person. I was like, oh, I just need a virtual assistant. We'll be fine. No, when Georgia took over ops, that is why the course has been able to scale for sure. So like Georgia gets profit first distributions. Like she is my wing woman. She's been pivotal to the growth. So I'd say it took about 3 months of me awkwardly like just trying to give her like a couple hours here and there, which was like not effective. I mean, she was great. I couldn't believe like how tiny the invoices were. And I was like, this feels silly. Like there's got to be ways that I could be making better use of your time. And she's like, I know I could be helping you better. So I'd say it took like 3 months to actually give her like more of a substantial invoice and really let go. And then I'd say within 6 months, we had a pretty substantial retainer going where she was like way more involved in the business. And then I think by a year, so I hired her full time March 1st of this year.
Okay.
So I kept, increasing. And then it's just been pivotal. Like it's just been a total game changer. So
I
happy
love
to answer any questions around that. I feel like I hit the jackpot with her for sure. Partly I'm like, I don't know,
or
it's
maybe
luck. How do you find the right people?
Mutual jackpot. Well, I could
it does feel that way.
I could share a quick similar story with Jane, who joined as a VA as well, with a fixed, kind of fixed set of hours and a very like limited and clearly defined scope of activities. And actually we were quite proud is that we like smashed that J curve, where it was like 2 weeks because I had documented everything before her first day. And so she got in and it was like boom, 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 coaching, Loom videos. And then like we smashed the J curve like within a couple weeks. But then now we're in another path. So now Jade is promoted. She's like in that path to full-time, which is happening very soon, as soon as we can like figure it out from an org perspective, like corporate structure perspective. But then we hit another bump, like not a bump, but then it's like, oh, now it's just not like task, like, and it's like projects and vision and ownership and and I don't want to say trust because I've always trusted Jane, but it's a different kind of trust. It's like a trust in like, I don't need to see all the million steps behind it, where before it was just like, show me the million steps, like check. And so I constantly remind myself that the 10K work that I'm doing, like it is like, she doesn't even know this, but I'm like crafting, like, what is our review schedules? When do we do performance reviews? Like, how are we going to track goals? How do we define goals? Where will they live? All of that stuff. And you could say that's like, you don't need to, that's like what they do at BlackRock, right? I'm like, no. Like that is the 10K work. And so that gets me. So Jane is incredible, and she continues to just take deeper ownership, and is already in spirit a full-time employee, and from a corporate perspective will be a full-time employee quite soon. But what I want to zoom back into is something that Nathan said yesterday, so now that you have a team, we have teams, he's got a bigger team. He said that, his job is to steer the ship, make sure the aircraft tanker, those 2,400 hours of work a week are angled in the right direction. His job is to reduce, to be ready to inject himself into conflict and presumably social, they have a loud voice in social justice issues. So his job is to be prepared for all of those and to live it. But how do you measure that? Right. So you're moving an air, you and I might be moving like little dinghies. He's moving an aircraft carrier. You've got a speedboat. I've got a dinghy, and Nathan's got an aircraft carrier. And so you're moving it towards this true north. But especially you and I, there's a ton of $10 work that needs to be done still, right? Even Georgia can't do it. Even Jane can't do it. So how do you reconcile that tension? And anyone has this, right? Even if you're an individual contributor, you're like, in 5 years, I want to be a portfolio manager or a partner at this law firm. But today I got to send the client the document. I got to write that. How do you like create the space for both of those and create the self-accountability to ensure that you're tracking?
So good. Because like you said, they're just inherently are just going to be the like administrative tasks that are just part of that process, right? And so I guess the idea is you kind of want to go further down the chain. It's like, is that something anyone can do? Like, could you hire a monkey that could like, copy paste that thing over there? That's a like a low, low effort activity. So it's like, I want to minimize how much of those activities I'm handling personally. And then even Georgia, like it might get to the point where we say, does it make sense for Georgia to do those, or should she be doing more high level ops stuff? Do we need someone that needs more experience, or we can pay a smaller price point because they're just getting their feet wet or something like that? So it's inevitable. It's part of the process. So I think we just kind of have to, like you said, ask those better questions. Like, is this $10 an hour thing helping us toward that bigger goal? If so, then maybe that's okay, right? It's okay that a small percentage of our activities are pointing us in the right direction. But I try as much as possible when I look at my tasks, I do ask, like, is this actually supporting a project? Or is this like, is it filler? Is it connected to a project, or is it just a task on the list? And how can I minimize those? And I think wherever we can implement that like reflection and review strategy every week, where we're just noticing like, where did my time go? Do I feel good about how it was spent? And is it pointing me in the right direction? And I'm very feelings driven. Like, I am not a metrics person. Like I joke about it. I think I'm wearing the necklace today. Like when I hired Georgia, I got her a necklace that says stoked, matching stoked necklaces. And it's like, we joke about, we measure our success and like, how stoked do we both feel about the work that we're doing? Yes. Is everyone on the team feeling like you are doing the work that you are most aligned and that you were born to do? Yes. Okay, cool. Like, that's how I run my business. And like my goals are bigger. It's like being like an educational leader, right? It's like, can we build a company where we are educational leaders? Great. Are these tasks supporting that? Amazing. Is everyone doing their best stuff? So something that's $10 an hour for me might actually be a $10,000 an hour task for Georgia, right? And like, that's another thing to consider too. So it's like, all tasks are not created equal for different people. So it's like, as long as each of us is doing our own $10,000 an hour task and we feel super freaking stoked. So for me, alignment and how are we feeling about stuff? We do a feelings check-in every day too. Like, that's the first question, is like, how are you feeling today? What happened today? And like, what are some of the things that are maybe left that we need to address, or something like that? And it's all about the feels.
I love it. But I mean, it does show, right? You call it the stoke factor. And by the way, I love that. Like, whenever you get stoked merch, like I'm there, I'm buying it first. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm wearing this crazy shirt, it's from my daddy-daughter camping trip. And every time there's a last session of something, we actually have a weekly review on Sunday. There's a lot, I assume a lot of people won't come on Sunday, that I always wear my unicorn shirt to just like celebrate that, like, we made it to the end of the session, and to show my stoke. Okay, so we're going to open up for questions, but you've mentioned this a few times, and I actually want to say this from a place of, a little bit of my own ignorance, where when I was teaching the course, I didn't really have an appreciation for neurodiversity, and that people would have, challenges like ADHD and other mental health, psychological challenges. And it was really a huge blind spot for me, because I was just like, okay, write down the 10 things that you're going to do and do 2 of them, right? Like, how could that be so hard? Right. And there was this kind of naive and I would say like a little bit of shameful ignorance that I could be so pedantic about something without being deeply empathetic with someone else's struggles or different way of seeing the world. And so I'd love, and I would imagine that I'm not alone in that, right? Because of the population of people who don't have ADHD or other learning challenges. So I would love for you to say, like, what would you say to someone like me who just is naive about someone's struggles with ADHD, to just, to give them just more compassion for what they're because I feel like before I knew this about you, I'm like, oh, we're cut from the same cloth, right? Like, look at our setups and GTD and this, and we do weekly reviews and blah 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 and SOPs and this and that. But I'm starting to realize that, like, the way our brains are working are probably actually really, really different. even though the
Yeah.
output on the surface might look the same. So I just want to use this as a moment for all of us to like develop a deeper sense of empathy and compassion towards the challenges and struggles that other people might have that we're not aware of.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and I appreciate you asking about that too, because I mean, I didn't know till a couple months ago. I did a live stream with my sister. You might have seen it. It's like, watch me teach my sister who has ADHD how to use Notion, right? Because my sister is like the poster child for ADHD, and so I was like, oh, that's what ADHD looks like, right? And because her and I are so different, I was like, oh, no way. Like, I'm a successful business owner. Like, I just didn't even for a second suspect, and it wasn't until doing a little research to actually empathize with my sister and understand, like when she got her diagnosis, I was like, oh my gosh, that explains so much. And I went down this research rabbit hole and I started, learning about it to also develop more compassion for her too, and her experience, and even how her meds were helping her and that sort of thing. And it wasn't until doing my curriculum redesign that I actually realized, oh my gosh, my ability to sequentially process information has always been a challenge. I just thought like, oh, I'm just like a big picture thinker. But when you actually have to take information and put it into a step-by-step order, I did not realize that was something that is like next to impossible for me. Really difficult. And again, that's why, again, I hire a curriculum designer who can help you distill this into a path. So I was like, oh, hang on. And then this other thing, oh, my memory is really porous. Oh, like the dopamine seeking behavior of learning. I'm like, suddenly all these, it was like my life suddenly made sense. And I was like, how did I miss this? And I would see every single ADHD meme and I was like, oh, come on, that's all of us. But at some point I was like, oh, wait, maybe it's all of us because I'm actually one of them. And not everybody's brain works that way. So funny enough, I thought I had empathy for folks that had ADHD. And I was like, oh, now that I actually realize that how my brain has worked and all these like overcompensating strategies and the working evenings and weekends. And I just thought I was a workaholic, but I realized my brain never stops. It never chills out. It's always forming connections and it's always excited. And I have to like tone down the excitement. Otherwise you might be too much for people. So there were lots of funny things like that I'm like, oh, this gives it new context. And it also explains why so many people with ADHD buy my course or love my videos. I was like, oh my God. So even myself, I'm actually developing a lot more compassion for how the way I might explain things may be confusing for neurotypical people. Like, duh, like that's a really, I didn't realize that I didn't explain things in a really step-by-step way because I'm like getting excited and clicking around. I'm like, wee! So I was like, whoa, okay, this is a whole new insight for me to be aware of because I may attract more people that tend to be neurodivergent. So that's a really interesting piece of information for me to even know that there's going to be even different types of ways of seeing the world that I can speak to. And how can I make sure that when I am explaining something that I am mindful of like my tendency, I'm like, hold on, put a pin in that, don't jump, right? How can I make sure I've covered this before jumping on to the next thing? So all that to say, I'm in the process too of discovering that for myself. And it is giving me way more compassion for understanding that, oh, all those books and advice of like, oh, just do it this way. I was often resentful. I'm like, must be really nice. Or like, rich white guy, whatever it was, I'd be like very dismissive of, it's really easy to say, just do it this way. Or, but the ADHD piece made me realize, why did it take me so long to wrap my head around GTD? Like, why did it take 8 years for me to like really get it? Why does it take me 6 months or a year to really pull away the insights from a book? So I'll be reading and learning and stuff, but it takes me a long time to form a system for myself. Might take me a year. Like Profit First is a perfect example. It took me so long to integrate that. So I don't know what the answer is in terms of that, but just like being aware that there are so many different learning types, learning styles, and people pull information differently. People need to see visuals. For me, hearing things is like, if you give me directions with like more than 2 steps, it's like, it's gone, it's lost. Like I need to see a map in front of me. So even as you're thinking about the ways that you communicate your value, if you're teaching, if you're doing YouTube videos, having a range of different ways that you explain something. So it's not just, people don't just hear the thing once and then they're good to go.
Wow. Oh, that's so profound. And again, it's applicable to a one-on-one manager with their direct report, or someone teaching, making YouTube videos online, or working with a VA, or managing a team of executives, right? That's 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 a transcendent empathetic skill, right? An empathetic curiosity
Definitely.
that, again, I don't want to make it so trite, but it's a very important skill to have just as a human, right? Forget like 10K leverage. Like as humans, we want to have that skill. Like forget all the other stuff. So what the
And I think awareness of your own, like being really aware of your own weaknesses, strengths, tendencies is super important for that team building, because even with Georgia, realizing I needed someone I could verbally process with. Like,
yeah.
and for Georgia to know that, and she can like quietly take notes and like translate Marie's chaos into next action steps, like that is such a valuable thing. So not every other solopreneur necessarily needs a director of ops, but I did.
Yeah.
Like I needed someone who could take the chaos of the creativity and the conceptual and translate that into next steps. So knowing what you need from a team perspective and letting your team know, hey, I tend to like to verbally process. Are you okay if I like brain dump this for a minute? And just like being really overly communicative about those preferences is essential.
Amazing. So we've got time for one, if we're lucky, two more questions. So drop them into the chat, and I will use Nathan Barrett. Nathan's advice was yesterday: it's like never end a conversation with a Q&A, because you like steal like the guests or the presentation's mojo. So I'm gonna come back to you after the questions. But Vishaka asked, Marie said she implements her courses immediately. I'd love to understand more about that.
Yeah, I'd be curious, like what you want to know more about. I mean, I don't always complete books and courses, right? I'll read a book and I'm like, oh man, that was amazing. And like, I often feel like I've gotten my value from a few key nuggets. So I did not know this about other people too. I'm like, what? You don't bounce around through the curriculum and like all over the place through like 6 different courses at the same time. Like this is how I operate. And I didn't know that wasn't maybe not the norm. I don't know, but I'll often get the nugget that I need from the course and I'm like, whoop, off to the races implementing it. So I don't even care if I haven't finished the course. I don't need the tests or the credentials or whatever. I'm like, can I implement that in my business right now? How can I improve even the 1%, 5%, 10% from that course? Amazing. I know that's time well spent. So some courses I will go way deeper into than others, but I do have a tendency to kind of jump and bounce. And I love that. Again, it keeps that like, woo, dopamine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with that, I would, we have no other questions. So I'll ask you with a parting thought, right? How do you notice when the stoke is lighting up in you, or in Georgia, or in your audience? Like, what do you look for? What are clues either internally that like stoke factor through the roof, and how do you do it with others?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think my energy always shows, like when I'm stoked, like it's like there's no poker face, like like I just get super excited, and I track my mood and my vibe and feelings every single day. I have been doing that for almost 3 years. And so I actually have like stoked, as one of the every day it's like pick 3 feelings that I felt throughout the day. So stokage is a huge one. Energized, inspired, excited. So I like to pay attention to how often am I feeling that? And I can look back at all that data and be like, are there certain days of the week where I felt more of that? And I can look for those patterns and be like one thing I'm noticing now, which is like a little surprising, but I have way more meetings on my calendar now than I did 2 years ago, but I'm like way more energized. So I'm way less tired by it. And I don't know if part of it is like, oh, now that you know that you have ADHD and you don't have to like hide your weirdness as much, you can just like be your weird self and like just connect with humans. And so I don't know like what that comes from, but just know, like I can notice those patterns over time. Okay, what's giving me energy? Okay, how do I get more of that? So I'm always just kind of paying attention from a pattern level of like, what's happening in the journal, what are the tasks that you're working on, and like, is there some
Mhm.
disconnect there, or what do you want more of? How can we turn the levers on that stuff?
Oh, I love that. And that actually jives well. We if you go into the Bootcamp homepage, there's an energy mapper where you can, it doesn't use Stoke, but you can actually map out your energy over the course of the day and
Love it.
see like am I doing the most important thing here? Am I doing the thing that requires the most focus here? And try to do that. How about identifying Stoke in Georgia? What's your Stoke radar like?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I will say is that I use the tool Marco Polo. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. It's
No.
video messaging app, and you
Oh,
can
okay.
kind of like watch it on your own time or watch it in real time and react and stuff. And I didn't realize, like, I think this has been a life-changing tool, both with friends and mastermind groups and with the team. So we all have group chats and personal chats, and I'm chatting with people almost all like every day. There's at least one check-in. So you can tell by our energy, be like, woohoo, like that call was awesome. How are you feeling today? Like, we do those check-ins both in Notion at the end of the day, daily check-in, but then we also have these ways to check in with video. And so we can text or just be like, hey, you know what, feeling a kind of low energy day, I'm not into it. I'm like, no worries, like take the day off. It's not a big deal. But like being able to see your team member's face and see them lit up
Wow.
with excitement, it tells you a lot. So I didn't realize how much I love that. Just those quick hits of
Yeah.
video, see someone's face, see how they're feeling, and just do a little check-in, and you can make someone's day with what, like a funny little message or check-in, right? So
Oh,
yeah, Marco Polo. Yep.
I am, for someone who's quite abreast of cool apps and communicate. I had never even heard of Marco Polo, so it is going
It's
straight to the
so
top of my
fun.
list.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, where we dropped in links, but where can people go find out more about you, stay connected, your newsletter, your Twitter? Um,
Yeah, you can usually search my name, Marie Poulin, Twitter, Marie Poulin, Notion, Marie Poulin, YouTube. My course is Notion Mastery. So yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter as one of my primary channels. So definitely come say hello.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marie. Thank you, Jane. Thank you to all 47 of you that are still here, that braved, 4 days. I mean, that's a lot of time. Like, I want to give you, I mean, that's a big time commitment. And I don't take this lightly, right? I'm not going to ask you to show up for 5 hours and deliver garbage, right? Or some, weak ass info product bullshit. Like, it's going to be real. So thank you all for taking that time. For those of you who are game, we're going to do a weekly review on Sunday. And just a little heads up, the first question, I see Rachel's in here. The first question will be, go into your desktop or go into your downloads folder and delete everything. That's the first step.
Ooh.
So I hope you're ready for that.
That's awesome.
Don't say I didn't warn you. It's quite telling of an activity. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Jane, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jay.
And Marie, thank you so much. And we'll see you all on the interwebs.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.